Well, good afternoon and welcome to Angel Square, the headquarters of the cooperative movement here in Manchester. I'm Magnus Linklater of The Times, and we've gathered together some of the leading experts on the care industry in Britain. The care industry is absolutely at the heart of the health service and the future care of our elderly people, a population that's growing enormously. Yet it's an industry about which people know relatively little and where the state is only just beginning to intervene. So this afternoon we're going to be talking about some of the issues that raises and trying to see if we can point the way towards some possible solutions.
There are over 6.4 million carers in this country, so it's an incredibly important question. And of course, many of those people want to care for their loved ones and work as well. So the government and the state have to be very flexible. There is legislation in place to allow carers to ask their employers for flexible working. The problem often is that employers will not be sympathetic to that request.
One of the really important things about the Care Bill is its emphasis on the importance of information and advice for people who use services and their carers, because we can't expect anybody to be able to have control over their life and have the life they want if they don't have that information and advice in a timely and accurate fashion.
I think there are a couple of reasons that make a tipping point. One probably is the dependency level of the individual who the carer is actually looking after. And the second one is probably about something to do with how it affects the wider family. So these, in my view, are the main tipping points where the state has to intervene. If the dependency level becomes so great that the individual can't look after their family member, then the state must have to intervene. Also, the wider impact on the wider family, if you like, has a crucial impact on whether the care can be provided appropriately to the carer.
Up until now, the legal arrangements when it comes to recognising carers, giving family members who provide support to others in their family, proper support from the local council, from the NHS and things like that, there is no obligation on the council to do anything other than find out whether you are a carer. Once they've done that, they don't have any obligation to do anything. The law is going to change as a result of a bill that's going through Parliament at the moment. It's the first time any government has actually legislated on carers. And what the law will require is that once a council has identified a carer as having needs for support, to be able to carry on their caring role or to reduce the burden of that caring role, then they will have to provide a service. And that's a big change. I hope it will be a radical change, because what it's doing is saying that we want parity of esteem between the carer and the person they're caring for. That's never been the case before. I think that's quite a profound change.
I think who decides what works for carers and what works for the state should be the carers and the cared for person themselves. It is an entirely individual situation. Some people will cope with caring for years and do it very well and happily and feel able to cope. Other people will hit crisis as soon as a diagnosis is made of the person that they care for. So it's up to individuals to decide what they need. And I think whilst the state needs to provide information, advice and help and support, they're not the people who should decide. They should be willing to respond in whatever way an individual's asking for help.
It's a really interesting question about what the balance is between what the family provides and what the state provides. And the complication is, of course, it's an individual answer. What I may find acceptable to do if I'm caring for my mother may not be what you would find acceptable to do if you're caring for your mother or your father. But there's a point at which there is something that feels like it's too much. Some point at which you feel, you know what, I should be getting more support and more help in. And the point where you're providing 24/7 support for a family member is that tipping point where the state has to provide, I think, help and support to the family, if not before. But it's very difficult to ascertain where that point always lies, because as I said at the beginning, it's an individual issue.
Well, for the last hour and a half, we've been wrestling with some of the issues that are raised by carers, how we care for those carers, and the role of the state in doing so. It's been interesting because what our experts round the table have been grappling with is not so much an economic question, although obviously that's important, but a moral issue. to what extent does the state have a right or even a duty to intervene in when a carer is looking after his or her own family? We've been teasing out the issue, looking at the bill that's currently going through Parliament and pointing towards some of the issues that raised, which will be with us for a very long time indeed.